Mental health torture, part 1. Mental health torture is a sort of a silent killer that should be taken seriously. When you push individuals to the wall where they can no longer breathe freely, it causes depression, anxiety, and personal disorders. People begin to develop fear, eating disorder, and trauma, which in fact is related to stress disorder. When the police or military organs go around beating people up in the name of peacekeeping, it creates the source of panic attack, physical symptoms such as pain, nightmare, obsessive thought, leading to fear of leaving your own house, thinking that the police or the military organ is going to beat you again and again and again, like a chicken thief. The action of those who are there to help you turn against you and become aggressor is very painful. Acting with insanity. Madness and craziness should not be allowed to happen within a democratic system. You should not pump fear into your own citizen, because the fear you're pumping into the people will last for a very long time. And that fear, in 5 years' time or 2 years' time, will cost us a lot of money, because at the end of the road, you'll find a way. You'll have to look for a way to treat that symptom that you have created by beating people up in the name of keeping peace, which is not acceptable. Behaviors that does not represent reality becomes bad and abnormal. Mental behavior. A pattern that we cannot allow to go on and on. Abnormal mental behavior patterns is something that is accumulated through fear, beating up of innocent people. Even if you think that you want to enforce law about the coronavirus, what is happening to our people now, you should not go as far as beating them up in front of their children, making them look stupid, forcing them not to believe anything you say anymore. Because every corner around their home are being filled up with military, police, who are moving around, who are beating people whom they should be trying to teach them to understand that at this moment we have a sickness, we have a virus that is going around, and you can be more effective if you talk to people and you try to explain why they have to respect those laws that is in place at this moment. The coronavirus is picking on our people one by one. And if you want to fight it, you can fight it in a proper way, but not dispersing the police, the local defense units, the military, to go and chase people and beat them up. And then later you go and apologize to them. That's sorry. Those police officers who have beaten you up, they didn't understand the instruction of the president. That is nonsense. That is something that cannot be acceptable to anybody with brain. If you claim we are living in a democratic society, then you should stop treating your own citizens like chicken thieves. The last few weeks, we had been watching what is happening in the Horn of Africa. People are being chased on the street. People are being beaten up. People are even being killed. And sometimes the same police and the military organ and the local defense forces that are supposed to help our people, they turn themselves into a kiboko squad. When they find you on the way, without even explaining, without even talking to you, they'll just start beating you up. That is something that is very dangerous to all of us, even to the police and the military organs and the local defense forces which are beating people in the name of peacekeeping or maintaining order. You see, when you create fear, when you pump fear into your own citizens, they begin to live in fear, anxiety, And that is something that we have not learned in Africa of today. You see, mental health torture can turn into a illness. But none of us are paying attention to it. None of us don't understand how we have to handle this type of sickness. That is the mental health torture being used by dictators around Africa is going to cost us a lot in 2 years, in 3 years, in 5 years, because if we lived with fear, we live with torture from the police and military organs, which is being used as tools of creating mental health sickness, which is going to affect a lot of our people and the entire population. In a place like Uganda, we have seen rapid and dramatic shift in emotions and depressive feelings around the country. This type of behavior will force people to withdraw something you may call a social withdrawal of all interest in certain types of activities due to our police and military brutality in the name of enforcing state laws and regulation. The action of our security organs is creating confused thinking among the people of Uganda, sadness and instability. The moods among our citizens is extremely low at the moment because of fear, worries, and forcing them to become disobedient. And in that process, you'll see that people will begin to withdraw. I say withdraw because you keep on asking yourself, now, if I go out today, am I going to be chased by the police? And that is creating a strong feeling of anger about the police actions. The action we are seeing around Uganda can easily lead to stress, abuse of power, which can influence and trigger rejection of law enforcement activities within that country. We all know that most of our people are suffering from more than one mental disorder due to the level of force which is being used against our citizens. For a period of time now, if we don't take mental torture seriously, such action is going to lead to depressive illness in future. Let's try to develop a helpful approach toward police brutality. It is time for those leaders to stop police or military brutality against our people. We have to start thinking and acting positively and try to be professional when we are dealing with the people. You cannot go on as nothing is happening. When you order those police and military organs and the local defense forces to go out and beat people without mercy, instead of explaining what the law and regulation is all about, what coronavirus stands for and doing to our people. Because if you explain in a more disciplined manner, these people will not be on the street. These people will follow those rules and regulations. But you are not giving them time to do so. Instead, you are trying to show them that you are the police, you are the law, and you can do anything you want to do freely without being punished. Sooner or later, you will force people to take law in their hand and defend themselves. From brutality. When we don't respect the limits of how far you can go and how brutal you can be, you will force the citizen to turn wild in order to protect themselves. We all know that feeling of anxiety and panic can last for a very long time. which can destroy individuals' daily life. We may not see mental health torture as a matter of urgency now, but believe me, after some years, it becomes a big problem for the nation. We should have learned a lot from the war that happened in northern Uganda. These people were reduced to nothing. They stayed in the camp for a very long time. And when they came back home, as I talked about it not long ago, that most of these people had been peddling through psychological trauma in actual land after the war. They were locked down into a concentration camp. And when they came back home, the torture they went through turned into a mental health torture, which is still going on up to today. We are now seeing the rate of suicide rapidly growing in the region. We didn't act. We didn't give them professional support. We just continue as nothing happened. We continue as nothing was wrong. But I had been following a trend that is going on in Uganda for a very long time now. And every time you read any newspaper, you hear about killing, about suicide, about things that happen due to mental health torture, which turns into a sickness. You can call it a mental health sickness. But we are not taking it seriously. We Ugandans, we are very, very easygoing people. We try to forget. We try to forget whatever happened to us. We just move on as nothing happened. Even if you are beaten on the street, the next day you move on as nothing happened. And this sort of brutality that had been going on in Uganda for the last 30 years has not made us as Uganda to realize, to understand, or even to feel that the police, military, or local defense forces brutality can cause a lot of damage to individuals. You may be chasing a father or beating a mother who is going to sell mangoes to earn money and feed his children. or our children. Those kids will be watching their mothers, fathers being beaten up, chased on the street of Africa like chicken thieves. We don't think about our own action of chasing people, beating them up. And we don't understand that it affects the entire family, that it affects the children, that it affects those who are related to those people you're beating. Whatever we're doing now, it will cause depression, anxiety, eating disorders. Police and military brutality is making our people miserable, and that can cause problems. The problem may not come tomorrow. The problem may not come in a week. It may not come in a month. It may not come in a year. But if it starts, it will derail their daily life and affect their ability to function as normal people. And it is not only going to affect them, it will affect their families, their children, their friends, their relatives, and worse still, it will affect the entire country. Because sooner or later, when those problems becomes abundant, when mental health torture turn into mental health sickness, then it's the same government will have to get a lot of money to try and cure a sickness that you created yourself. When people begin to feel sad and down, confused, and cannot concentrate, living in excessive fear about police or military brutality, their moods begins to change. The trust in state organs begin to fade away. And they will try to avoid certain activities that are related to just a state. Let's start talking to one another about mental health torture in Uganda. Let's have an open and honest discussion about the role of the police, about the role of the military within a state. Let's talk about the effects of psychological factors that is contributing to mental health torture which is taking place in Uganda. Let's talk about psychological trauma due to wars. Or confinement in camps. Let's talk among ourselves about police brutality, about sexual neglect of children, sexual abuse, death in the family, and neglect of children, that making them to feel that they're alone in the world. Our mental health can be affected by a loss of a family, by beating people up on the street. We cannot allow this to continue within a society claiming to be democratic, to be working for the people, to be representing our own people. There is no need to beat up people. There is no need for people to live in fear that you cannot feel comfortable anymore leaving your house, trying to go out there. You know, the worst thing that can happen to you and to your family is when you are being chased in your own country by the very people that should have taken care of you, that should be watching your back, but you are being chased in the whole of your own country, and you have become a victim of police and military brutality. I know together we can overcome a man-made psychological torture. If we don't, we shall pay a heavy price in future, trying to put such brutal action right. It might turn into a long-term project that can destroy many lives. We may be asking ourselves how we can present or prevent the source of mental health torture. We have to take a step and try to control our stress level, boost our resilience, and never allow unnecessary police, military, or local defense forces brutality to bring us down. We all believe that there is a beginning and an end to whatever situation we may be going through at a certain moment. Human nature is known for their capabilities to overcome a lot of things in life. Don't let bad behavior take away your freedom. Let me be clear. Let me be clear. Isolating ourselves because we have given up because we have given half, because we are feeling nervous, because we are jumpy, it's not an option. It's not an option. Some people do say we have to fight fire with fire. But I would say, if we bundle our strength together, we can make sure that just brutality play no role in our society. Just brutality will have to pay for the crime they have committed on innocent citizens. Everywhere around the world, people who are in such a position are respecting their people. They're caring for their people. And if we are not careful, if we just give up, then people will live in fear for a very long time to come. Thank you for listening. I'll be back.